Welcome. Again, I'm Richard.
And I'm Namaste.
And we're going to talk about juicing, lessons from juicing and just some things that we've noticed in previous juice fasts that you're going to want to keep in mind during this one that will help you and help make it easier and help make it more fun. I mean, again, this is not something we're suffering through. We're doing this for a purpose.
Right.
And that really is like the first point of what we want to talk about is utilizing intention and purpose while you are going through the juice fast.
Right.
And when
the juice feast.
Yeah, feast.
I like that term better.
Yeah, feast. Yeah.
Feast, abundance, lots. Fast, nothing.
Right.
Not as much fun.
Suffering and being very sad.
Right. We like feasting. Feasting is better.
Okay. So, in terms of this whole feasting idea, the first thing that we want to focus on is setting your intention.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, I mean incorporating whatever spiritual practice you normally do, and so if you're a praying person, in those times between when you're actually taking the juice in,
the times when you would normally be eating.
Yeah.
It's important to have something else that you're putting in that space. Otherwise, during that time, you'll start to feel a lack or like, well, what am I doing? I could be right now.
Without food.
Right now, I would normally be having, a big steak or, at least a chicken breast or some fish.
It takes me 45 minutes to eat, but it only takes me, 3 minutes to drink my juice.
Right. So I drink my juice. Now what?
Now what do I do?
Right. So
focus on your health and focus on the benefits that you want. But use your meditative practice. If you're a person who meditates, use that time to meditate. Or maybe you listen to some audio tapes or something like that. You can, throw on your headphones and kind of meditate and think about how you're going to look and how you're going to feel and focus on your body and the messages that you're getting back from your body and things
focus
like
on
that.
Cleansing in a different way. You're now, at that point, you're now taking it as above, so below. So you're taking the cleanse and you're applying it to your mental state, your spiritual state, your emotional state. So during that time, while you're cleansing your body and giving your body all these things, it's going to help flush things out of it. You're also giving your mind and your spirit things that's going to flush negativity, baggage, old tapes, and kind of flush those things out. And that can be prayer, it could be meditation, it could be, if you're not a person of faith, if you could do affirmations, you could use
EFT.
it as journaling time. You could do EFT. We love EFT. We're big EFT practitioners. And I use it, we use it in our coaching practice frequently. So you could use any of those at that time, you can use any of those practices as something that you are putting, something positive, uplifting, that you are putting in place of when you would normally eat food. And what we have found is that when you do that, it's easier to not miss it.
Right.
If you're not doing that, like Richard said,
all you can think about is
food, the food that you
even if you're not
hungry.
Because all you think about, I'm used to chewing. And I'm not chewing, I'm drinking juice. Right. So what's missing here?
Right.
Maybe I need to munch on something or whatever. But
and there's the social aspect of it as well, which is that when people see you not eating, sometimes it can be disturbing to other people. They'll see, oh, you're not going to eat. Is that healthy? Right. Is that good for you? I don't know. Yeah. I'm just concerned.
Explain to me what all this is all about.
Right.
I'm always amazed at how often that comes up.
Right.
Like, somebody sees you juicing and then all of a sudden they want to, okay, it'll be okay after you explain to me what's going on.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute.
I'm always amazed at how many people think it's unhealthy for you.
Right.
It's like, as long as I'm sitting here with a big Coke and a giant cheeseburger, no one's concerned about your health. No one's like, hey, that's horrible.
Wouldn't that be nice, though, if somebody came in your office and said, hey, explain to me what's going on
with that cheeseburger. You don't need to eat that, But as soon as you start juicing, all of a sudden everyone's concerned. Is that healthy for you?
Healthy for you.
Fruits and vegetables, red meat and fat. I don't know which one is more healthy, and it's not that meat products are totally bad for you. You should never eat, animal products because they have their place depending on your intuitive style and so on. And we'll talk about that more in Feeding the Good Wolf in that group.
But let's talk about, because you were saying about in terms of divesting yourself of different things and cleansing and flushing things through. Let's talk about some practical consequences to juicing. Initially, when you start juicing for the first time, your body's going to want to...
We should warn people.
What?
About what we're getting ready to talk about. Okay, warning. This conversation will be a little bit sensitive because we're going to start talking about bowel movements. Mm-hmm. And if that makes you uncomfortable, cover your ears and go la 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 la. But hopefully it won't, because we're being real, and this may be, you know, we want you guys to understand what you can expect, because people will you can start to experience these things if you experience them, because everyone doesn't, and be like, something's wrong with me. Obviously, I shouldn't be doing this. And so we want you to know that these things are really normal.
It's normal. So, it's natural. Okay. And so what I would say is that initially, within like the first 24 to 48 hours of juicing, your body's going to divest itself of a lot of, solid stuff is going to come out with more frequency than it normally does. Mm-hmm. So... a lot of you work in offices, and you may work at a store or whatever, and you need to understand the physical relationship between where you are located most of your day and where the bathroom is if you're not at home. Right. Because typically, as another thing in terms of juicing, is that when you have to go, it's like
you really have to go. Like,
let's go.
It's time to go. You got to start moving in that direction.
You got to start moving in that direction.
And if you're used to, and as women, I know a lot of women, we are used to governing when we go to the restroom around whatever else is happening in our lives. So it's like, we'll be like, oh, well, I can wait. I'll do it when I get finished. And so when you're juicing, you don't want to do that. You want to, when your body sends that message to your brain that says, hey, I have to go, start making your way in that direction. Don't try to hold it. Don't try to fight it. You are literally physically getting rid of physical baggage, and the first way that comes, and think about this for a minute, because I think there's a profound truth here that's, again, as above, so below, which is that the first thing that you begin to divest yourself of is the waste products that you have been holding on in your physical body. And so in a cleanse, similarly, spiritually and emotionally, you can also begin to divest yourself of the waste products that you have been holding on to, whether that be ideologies, or, self-image issues, or baggage, or old tapes. Attitudes. All of those things will start to come up so they can come out. Right. And so in the same way, you're going to feel and experience that same thing in your body. And if you are not using the restroom, for the first few days, you'll have to go. And then after that, you may not have to go quite as often, because you're not eating. Right. Okay, so you probably won't have to go, but if during those first couple of days you find yourself not having to go to the restroom, you probably need to juice more. And one of the juices...
But also, you need to take in more fluids in terms of water.
Yes.
Because you're juicing, you may not have a desire to drink as much water as you do normally, but you still should drink water as if you're eating solid food.
Right.
So whatever ounces of water you normally take in during a day, continue to do that, even though you're doing the juice as well. Right. And that'll, you'll see the effects of that too with initially going to the bathroom with more frequency and things like that.
And if you have a hard time remembering to drink water during the day, you might want to do a water meal, which is first thing in the morning, making water your first meal. Now, I'm not saying making water your breakfast, because you'll still have breakfast later, your breakfast juice later. But when you first get up, drinking, a mason jar, which is 32 ounces, a quart of water when you first get up. And that'll do a couple of things. It'll help you with your appetite if you're having cravings. And it'll also help you get enough water in your body, so you're getting that flush on first thing in the morning. And that's a good way to kind of offset headaches and things like that,
Well, one of the things, too, is that many times in terms of juicing, in terms of produce and things like that, we tend to think colder equals refreshing, equals, you put ice in it, you're going to get your produce out of the refrigerator and have that, as your juice and as your smoothie. And what I would encourage you to do is try to have things, water and juice, at or close to room temperature.
Room temperature, yeah.
Because you can digest it easier. It'll feel better. You'll be able to drink more water as a result, because that cold, in terms of your appetite, in terms of the ability of you to actually ingest it, you take a few sips of something extremely cold, and you're pretty much done.
Right. Your body says, okay, that's enough.
That's enough. I'm refreshed. So what you want to do is have it be room temperature, and then what you can do is take that in, and you can find yourself drinking, 32 ounces and things like that.
And thankfully, we're doing this during the winter months, which makes it easier to want to drink things warm because we want to be warming. So don't be afraid, and another thought is don't be afraid to add warming things to your juices. Add ginger to your juices. If you have a juicer, put some ginger in your juicer. If you don't have a juicer, you can grate the ginger and then use it that way, or you can put the ginger in the blender and just do the squeezing method like I showed you in a previous video. You can do any number of things. Add a little cayenne pepper. That may be a more acquired taste, but add that to your juices and that'll warm them up. When you're doing your savory juices, if you find yourself, sometimes that can be a little bit more challenging. I have a hard time with some of the more savory juices. I like to have my juices I'm better actually if the juices are very green than if they're more savory. But if I'm doing a savory juice, one of the things that makes it a little bit easier is if it is warmed up a little bit, and so that's the benefit of the Vitamix, is the Vitamix actually will heat your food without actually cooking it. So it's still technically raw, but it's a little warm. And so that can be a good thing too, to kind of warm it up, and then it tastes almost more like a broth than like a juice, and that makes it a little bit easier for me to take. And so I know other people who are like, I'm not really feeling the savory juices. That's a way that can help you take in more of them as well.
Okay.
Is that all?
Yes, that's all.
That's
all for right now. Of course, we'll be back later with more talk about juicing and the cleanse and things like that.
Yes.
So, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Namaste.